You open Redfin on a Tuesday night because your lease renewal hit your inbox and rent went up again. You scroll the for sale tab, listings everywhere, price cuts, houses sitting 60 days. Your brain says this is the moment. Then you click into a place you actually like, and the price is the highest that street has ever seen, so you close the tab, confused. If you are a first-time buyer in your mid-30s, that confusion is not a personal failing. The median first-time buyer in 2025 is 35 years old, according to Redfin, which means an entire generation hit the market when the math stopped working. I have been staring at the spring 2026 data for 2 weeks, and I keep coming back to the same word. Frozen. Here's what frozen looks like in numbers. Existing home sales in March dropped 3.6% in a single month, landing at an annualized pace of 3.98 million homes, the lowest reading in 9 months, according to the National Association of Realtors. Pending sales, the leading indicator for what closes in May and June, came in down 1.1% versus a year ago. So the spring season, the busiest stretch of the calendar, the moment everything is supposed to thaw, is running weaker than last spring. And last spring was already weak. Now hold that picture in your head, because the next number is the puzzle. In March 2026, there were 46% more home sellers than buyers in the United States. That is the widest gap since 2013, according to Redfin. In a normal market, when sellers outnumber buyers by that much, prices fall. They have to. There is no other release valve. That is not what happened. Prices kept rising. I want you to feel how strange that is. Active inventory in April was up 4.6% year over year, per Realtor.com. More homes on the market, 46% more sellers than buyers. And the median price still set new highs. Every signal you would normally use to read the market is pointing in a direction the market refused to go. Now you might be thinking the obvious thing. Maybe demand collapsed because of layoffs. The data says no. Layoffs and discharges sat at 1.7 million in February 2026, unchanged from the month before, per the Bureau of Labor Statistics. The job market is soft, but it has not cracked. So this is not a recession-style demand wipeout. Something else is doing the work. Some analysts argue the gap is just buyer selectivity. More inventory means more options, so buyers walk away from contracts because they can. There is truth to that, but selectivity that does not turn into transactions is just paralysis with a nicer name. Sales volumes are sitting near 45-year lows, and that fact is what tells you the buyer leverage story is incomplete. Leverage you cannot use is not really leverage. So why are prices not falling? Here is the answer. The owners who would normally sell at a discount are not selling at all. Roughly 80% of homeowners with a mortgage are sitting on a rate below 6%, per mortgage market data from the third quarter of 2025. Drill in further and the picture sharpens. By the fourth quarter, 19.7% of all outstanding mortgages were locked at rates below 3%. Per Realtor.com's economic research team, almost 1 in 5 homeowners is paying interest at a rate that no longer exists in the wild. Now compare that to today. The 30-year fixed rate is sitting around 6.35% as of late April, according to Forbes Advisor and Bankrate. Back in January 2021, the same rate hit a record low of 2.65% and stayed below 3.5% for most of that year. So we are talking about a payment difference that is not a rounding error. It is a different financial life. Picture a household that bought a $400,000 house in 2021 with a 2.65% rate. Their principal and interest payment is a little over $1,200 a month. To buy the same house at today's rate, the new owner pays roughly $2,000 a month for that same loan. That is $800 a month every month for 30 years just to live in the same walls. Now ask the question every locked-in homeowner is silently asking. Why would I sell? To go where? The next house is also at 6.35%. The math punishes me for moving, so I stay. And because I stay, my house never hits the market at the discount the data says it should. Multiply that by the roughly 1 in 5 homeowners under 3% and you get the freeze. Inventory rises on paper because some sellers do list, but the listings that would actually clear the market, the ones priced to move from owners who would accept a hit, never show up. The supply that exists is the supply that holds out for peak. You might be thinking the rental market should absorb everyone who is sidelined. That is the textbook answer. Sidelined buyers become renters, rental demand surges, the system rebalances. That is not happening either. Walk through the rental side. In March 2026, 16.9% of stabilized apartment units were offering concessions, per RealPage Market Analytics. Free month, waived deposit, gift card. That is landlords competing for tenants in a market that, by the textbook story, should be tight. Why is supply this generous? because in 2024, 608,000 multifamily units finished construction, the highest count since 1986 per the National Association of Household Builders. A 38-year supply wave landed in the same 18 months that buyers stopped buying, so renters got a window, apartment landlords got a problem. And the system did not rebalance, it just developed soft spots in two places at once. The viewer who kept hearing rent will keep going up forever found out the answer is no, not when the building next door has 50 empty units and a leasing agent waving a gift card. Here's the part that should bother you, and this is where the freeze starts to show its first cracks. Sellers are blinking. In December 2025, 112,788 homes were pulled off the market. That is the highest delisting count on record. By January, nearly 45,000 of those homes came back as relistings, the highest January figure in a decade, per market data. So picture the seller. They listed in the fall hoping for one last push. Nothing happened. They pulled the listing in December. They watched the news, they watched their neighbor's house sit, and in January they tried again. Same house, new listing date. That delisting-relisting cycle is not a sign of strength, it is a tell. Some commentators argue it is bullish, sellers pulling supply tightens inventory and props up prices. There is a version of that story that is true, but the longer version is that sellers who keep relisting the same house at almost the same price are running out of patience faster than the lock-in is releasing them. The freeze is real. It is also not permanent. The mainstream forecast crowd is reading this as a slow normalization rather than a break. Zillow's economists have called for modest 1.2% national price growth in 2026. JPMorgan's research team expects house prices to flatten near zero. Redfin has framed the whole environment as a great housing reset, explicitly described as a years-long period of gradual change rather than a quick correction. So the consensus is not catastrophe, it is grind. I think the consensus is partly right and partly missing the point. Prices probably will not crash this year. The lock-in mechanism is too strong, the labor market is too stable, and the affordability ceiling shows up as frozen volume rather than falling prices. That part of the gradual story holds. But describing 45-year low transaction volumes as normalization is using a soft word for a hard situation. A market where almost nobody can transact is not normal, it is just quiet. So the question for you is not when does it crash? The question is what do you do inside a market that has stopped clearing? If you are a buyer in this environment, the 46% gap is real leverage if you use it. The seller who has relisted twice already has a number in their head that is below the asking price, and they know you know it. Inspect aggressively. Ask for repair credits, rate buydowns, closing cost coverage. If the seller will not move, walk. There are more listings than buyers. That is the one piece of the data that is unambiguously yours. If you are a seller, pricing for last year's market is the single most expensive mistake available to you right now. Home prices in the third quarter of 2025 rose in 77% of metro markets and declined in 23% per the National Association of Realtors. Translate that. Roughly 1 in 4 metros is already softening at the median level, and inside every metro there are zip codes doing worse. Your block is not the national average. List at the price your buyer can finance, not the price your neighbor got 2 years ago. If you are a renter, this is a window with a clock on it. 16.9% of stabilized units offered concessions last month. Use the leverage now and lock a longer lease. As the multifamily wave from 2024 works through the system over the next 18 months, that concession rate will compress. And if you are an investor underwriting cash flow, the rule is simple. Do not model rent growth assumptions from 2022 into a 2026 pro forma. Underwrite to current rent growth, not to what you wish were true. One edge case worth naming because it breaks the pattern. The migration markets are not frozen the same way. Buyer interest in Montana, Idaho, Arizona, New Mexico, the Carolinas, and the Florida Sunbelt held up through the first quarter of 2026 per early year reports. Affordability refugees are still moving. So if your local data looks more functional than what I just described, you may be living in one of those pockets. And the rules of negotiation in a still active market are different from the rules in a frozen one. You might also be thinking, what if rates drop? What if the Fed cuts and we get back to 5.5%? Will that unlock the market? Honestly, probably less than people hope. A homeowner sitting on a 2.65% loan does not feel relief at 5.5%. They feel a smaller wound. The lock-in does not really break until rates approach what locked-in owners actually have, and we are nowhere near that. So the spring 2026 market is not crashing. It is also not healthy. It is a market where the people who should be selling will not. The people who want to buy cannot. and the rental relief valve is leaking pressure rather than absorbing it. The 46% gap is the symptom, the 3% mortgage is the cause, and the freeze ends, when it ends, on a timeline none of us controls. This is general education, not personalized advice. Before you act on any of this, before you list, before you offer, before you sign a lease or refinance anything, talk to a financial advisor or a real estate professional who knows your full picture. The numbers in this video are national. The decision is local, and it is yours. If this changed how you read the headlines, that little like button is how I know which videos to make next. And drop one word in the comments, buyer, seller, renter, or investor, so I know which angle to dig deeper on. One last thread to pull on. Every headline this spring is screaming that the Fed is cutting and rates are coming down. Your mortgage rate, weirdly, is not really moving with them. And the reason it is not moving is going to matter for every decision you make from here. The next video on the screen unpacks exactly why your mortgage rate is stuck even when the Fed is cutting, and what that means for the retirement money you have parked in housing-adjacent assets. Catch you over there.